Hello and welcome to my Ever Messy Art Studio. My name is Keeks, and today I want to kind of do a picture based on loosely on this picture here. I just really love some things about this picture from this Ranger Rick magazine that my son got. I really like the red flowers. I really like the wheat going down. I really like the field mouse, except I think I would want my field mouse to be going across to the flower. And I really like how his tail's wrapped around here. But I'm going to be kind of working backwards because I think I'm going to try to do this with gouache. So I'm just going to be kind of experimenting and see what happens. I also think instead of a daytime, I want to do kind of more of like a dusk or a nighttime scene. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a white crayon, just a simple white crayon, and I am going to try to do a wax resist. So I'm just gonna put a bunch of dots everywhere for stars, and later on I'll probably do like a splash of white too, of some white paint, just so that we can really get that in there. But I thought if we had like a couple of different textures of stars, that would be really fun. So we're gonna see if this works with gouache, because I'm not sure if gouache does a wax resist or not, but we're gonna do our best. And it's kind of like working blind here, because yes, this is kind of like a tanned paper, but it's also not quite white enough for me to see where the white crown is. So I'm kind of curious to see if this resist technique will actually work anyway. So we're gonna try our best and see what happens. And I'm just kind of going at random here, because like I said, I can't really see where this is going. So we're gonna try our best and see if this works. So the first thing I'm gonna do is in the very, very background of this picture, like it looks like there's a light green, then it goes into a dark green, and then it has the sky, which I'm gonna do kind of like a reddish color and then go into it with blue. So I'm actually gonna start with the sky first and go at it like that, I think. So I'm gonna take my Ohuhu 8 paintbrush. I'm gonna use that. And today I'm gonna be using my HIMI Gouache. My HIMIs are a little dried out, but that's okay because HIMI Gouache does reactivate with water, so it's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna take that and go from there. So I think I'm gonna use 3 colors for the sky. I'm going to use underglaze red, I'm gonna use rose, and then I'm going to use pale violet probably, and kind of go from there and see what this ends up turning into. So I'm gonna go ahead and let my brush soak a little bit, and I'm just gonna grab a little bit of the underglazed red, which is kind of this color right here. I'm gonna try not to grab too much of it at once, because sometimes what I find with gouaches is I grab way too much color, and then whenever I do that, it turns into a problem because then I've got wasted pigment. So I'm gonna try my best not to waste as much pigment as I usually do, but we'll see. You know, sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. We'll just kind of do our best, and hopefully in watching me, you will not repeat my mistakes. So let's go ahead and water this up a bit. So now it's nice and wet. So I'm just gonna kind of go across the page with it. If you hear a squeaking sound, my dog is playing with her toys in the background. Sorry. But she's a good girl and she deserves to play with her toys. So I'm gonna maybe start over here with this red, and even though there's going to be grass over this part, I just thought maybe if there was a tiny bit showing, that it would look cool. Oops. accidentally dripped some on the page there. Don't want that. But I just thought we could get it to look cool. Might go up a little bit further than that. Maybe up to about there. It looks like this spot's really dark, so I'm just gonna add a bunch of water to it so I can get it to move around some more. And come over to this other page, because it is really dark over there. There we go, and I'm just using a Royal Talon sketchbook. Sometimes it does good with watercolor, other times it doesn't. So I'm just gonna try to watch it and see what happens. So the next color I'm gonna use is the rose. I'm gonna want a little bit more rose because there's more surface area to go through here. So I'm just gonna try to get off most of that. Wash off my tool. Give her some water. I don't know why I thought to do this background, because like I said, the original picture is not like that. And by the way, considering I am using a picture from a magazine, this will, you know, if you're using copyright images, you can't sell them. So I'm just keeping that in mind too. But, you know, there's no harm in looking at them for references. And I don't think mine's actually going to really look like that. It's just going to be based loosely off of it. So I'm just going to get this real wet. That. I'm going to kind of do like a little bit of a line here. And I am overlapping them just a little bit just because I think that'll look cool. But to each is their own. If you try this, you don't have to do what I'm doing. More paint there is what I'm seeing. More water. I really love field mice, so when I saw this on one of my son's pictures, I was like, yes, field mice, definitely stealing that from you when you're done with it. I do that quite a bit anyway though, because, you know, I do collage a lot too. And, oh good, that wax resist is working. The animals in the pictures always work really well for collage. Okay, so now the other color I want to use, do I want to use ultramarine or do I want to use a purple? Let's go with the purple. I'm going to use the pale violet. Violet, you're turning violet. And we'll see if this will be dark enough. If not, then I'll mix some blue into it too. That shouldn't be a big problem. So I'm just gonna, oh yes, that wax resist is working lovely. It's just gonna give it a little bit of texture because even though I planned to splash paint on it, I just think it'll look really cool. I'm gonna kind of curve it out a little bit. Give it a little bit of a curve. I want that to be a lot darker. There we go. Uh-oh, some of my tape's peeling up a little bit. That happens though. I am not the best blender when it comes to paint. So, you know, you might have a better time blending than I do. If so, that's awesome. I'm kind of a messy artist. Like that. So I'm noticing as I'm going over it, it's only resisting the first swipe I do over it, which kind of sucks a little bit, but it's still something that you can kind of see in there. So I'm gonna splatter white over top of it too, but it is kind of cool to have that little bit of texture in there. There we go, something like that. And then we'll take some white. I'm wondering if I should go back over a little bit, the rose a little bit more. Just to kind of make that a little bit more subtle. Just a little bit. Something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take some white. I'm just going to use titanium white. You don't need a lot of it, just a little bit. Dry my brush a little bit to try and get the color off of it. I'm gonna mix this together. I want it nice and liquidy. Okay, maybe wasn't expecting that. That's okay. I, as some of my friends say, I'm not the best splatterer, but I do my best. There we go. So that should at least give us an interesting looking sky. And then we're gonna wanna dry this and see where we're at. So give me a few and I will be back. And now I'm gonna also add some green because there is green in the background. There's like a strip of green, and I think that's to kind of make it look like there's grass. So let's go ahead and add that strip of green first, and I think I'm gonna use olive green for that. Just because I think that would look good with our color scheme we got going on. And I'm not gonna do it too far up because I don't want it to ruin our sky that we've got going on here. So we'll just do something like this. Oop, we need some more. Kind of the nice thing about gouache being so opaque. You can really make mistakes and be okay with it. At least in my opinion, that's what I like about it. It's a very strange medium. So there we go, and maybe in the background we could do some trees or something. So that was olive green. We can use the blackish green for that and just send it to the background. And just do a smattering. Because we're going to be painting over a lot of this, but it might be kind of cool if it's kind of showing in the background a little bit. So something like that looks pretty good. I'm gonna just add like another little bunch going up there. That way it's like a bunch of trees. So that looks good. Now for the, let's see here. So I'm gonna work back and work my way forward. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a darker brown first. So maybe russet red, which is kind of a brown, and then use light tan over it. And we can kind of get those pieces of, oh, what do you call it? The wheat stalks in there. So I'm just gonna dry this real quick and be right back. Okay, so I think that's mostly dry. So I think for this part, I'm gonna take a smaller paintbrush. Let's do, it's a 7. That might not be small enough. What are you? This one's a 3. That might be okay. We'll try it. What's the worst that could happen, yeah? So I'm just going to get some of the paint up and plop it down over here. I need more than that to get it opaque enough. Okay, so something like that. Then I'm going to start from down here. And work my way up. And do these little ball things that are on the wheat. Something like that. I'm going to do the other side as well, because I've got one that's coming from here. Need some more water. And some of the balls for the wheat. Something like that. And then I might go back over this a second time just to get that stalk nice and dark. Especially over the trees. I don't really want that green seeping through. Nope. But it sure wants to, doesn't it? Okay. Let's get the tan now. And the tan, what that's gonna do is, number one, it is the color of wheat, but it's gonna give us a highlight, which is gonna be good, because I think we need it here. So I'm gonna probably put the highlight on the outside of the stalk. Something like that. And then we've also got these long little strips. So what I'm gonna do for those is I'm probably gonna use one of these guys. Maybe not that one. That one's really, really small. What else do we got in here? That might work. I'm gonna take that tan. And this is the Comal Detailer 4mm. And just going to try and put these little lines in here. Seeing that's not really wanting to work very well. We're just going to try our best. I'm just going to keep going over it a little bit. Detail brushes are not like watercolor brushes, so they're not going to hold as much paint. So you very well may need to go over it several times. So don't feel lost if that's what's happening. It's pretty normal. Try not to take it personally with the brush, I guess is what I mean. Because I know at one point in time in my art life I would have been like, why is this stupid thing not working? Well, it's tiny. It just doesn't have enough room for all that water. Gotta be patient and just enjoy the process. There we go. I've got one more little stalk over here that I want to make. And then I'll probably go over, oh no, I just got paint on my arm. Oh no, I'm part of the painting. Well, what use is it painting if you aren't going to get it all over yourself, right? There we go, like that. And then I think I want a darker brown too, just for some details. So I'm gonna grab some burnt umber and put it on here too. Made the mistake of grabbing it with the watercolor brush and it just wants to stick to the brush. Rude. All right. So I'm still using that tiny little detailer. I'm just gonna give it a bit of an outline. It's just gonna help it stand out a little bit. And then I think I'm gonna put a little bit on the inside bit of this too, just to give it like a deep shadow. So something like that, and that's our stalk of wheat. So now we just got to match that energy on this side over here. I'm just going to wash my tiny brush and then go back in with this brush. Get some more tan. Once again, I'm going to do it on the outside. Something like that. Then we've got the main parts of it. Something kind of like that. And then we need our little lines again. Like that. Oh, I think my hand got in a little bit of this again because that looks a little weird there. Put just a tiny bit more color back into that. All right. And then we've got 3 little lines up here too. And if my lines aren't terribly straight, I'm not going to worry about it because nature is not terribly straight. If anything, it might even give it something interesting to go off of. Might zoom in a little bit though. That, and then we've got one more before we put in our dark details. Go. And then we can add our dark in there. Got a water spot on there. I think we need a little bit more of that brown. Let's see. Burnt umber, I think is what I was using. So let's grab some of that. Plop it down, give it some water. There we go. Now we've got like this wheat kind of like crowning it in. So I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so I gave myself a minute to look at this and I decided to go in and just add some lines to those little hairs that were falling down from there. And I think it looks a lot better. So now I think I'm gonna work on the flowers next. So I'm just gonna put a couple of different flowers in here. And I'm gonna start using Oriental Red because that's my bright red that I've got. And then we can go back into it with Deep Red to kind of give those flowers some flair. So let's see how this is gonna go. And it looks like this is kind of a see-through paint here, transparent paint, so I might have to do a couple layers. And I'm sure that'll be fine. So I'm just lightly getting in here. And I'm gonna have 3 flowers in this, so what I'll do is I'll bounce around each flower until one dries and then put another layer in it. See how that goes. I'm gonna save our field mouse for very last. So we're gonna work on the foliage here first. Then I have one going like this. And then I have another one that's over here. And this one will definitely need a couple of layers on it because of that background. Go. Back up here again and add some more red. Just to make it a little bit more opaque. It's funny how some gouaches will be super opaque and then others will be see-through. So I'm kind of curious about how this is going to look afterwards because of how I did the bottom. Okay, so something like that. And then we can take our deep red and go kind of in the middle with it. And we'll also do the accents of the petals with that deep red too. So I think that would look really nice. Because otherwise we might not be able to tell that there's several petals there because it looks like all kind of like one thing right now. And I don't want it to look like that. So we can go in with our little fine liner and add those details. just like that. Then add some of this. And then some of this. Some lines. And then what we'll end up doing is probably put a bit of yellow in the middle there, just to kind of have something else besides red. Otherwise, I think that looks pretty okay. So let's get some red over here too. Break up these petals a little bit. So that way you kind of get an idea that this is the side view of a flower. I think that looks okay. So then we'll doctor this little guy down here. Like that. There we go. That just gives them a little something, something, you know. I just think that makes them look a little bit prettier. And then let me go ahead and clean off my brush here. And let's see, what kind of yellow should I use in there? I don't know that that's really dry enough for the yellow bits yet. But we can try, because we're just gonna do like little yellow dots, I think. So let me get a yellow from my palette. I think I'm gonna use Primrose. Looks like a pretty color. I've been using this little spray pen again, and it's been working out pretty well. Let that soak for a second. So so that we can get that yellow in there. We'll just put little dots. Maybe that's where the pollen is. Do poppies really look like this? I have no idea. Only poppies I've really seen are the ones that veterans wear. And those are not real, so maybe. If these aren't poppies, at least they're pretty. And the idea is there. I think that looks pretty good. I'll do the same thing to this one down here. Just kind of give it a little bit of roughen up so that it can look more interesting. There we go, like that. I do like that in the deed. So let's go ahead and give these guys a stem. And for the stem, we need to use some of these lighter greens in here. I think for the stems, I'm gonna use a pale green. That color, I think that'll look nice. So I'm just gonna mix that real quick. And then we gotta do blades of grass. Yeah, there we go, that's nice and opaque. It's a good choice. I don't know if you knew what I was referencing there. I was referencing Denise Love when she gets excited about stuff. I do think that is a good choice. Put it down here a little bit. Get it a little bit thicker. We can have a leaf right here. Oh no, I set my palm in it. I'm always doing that. I'm the worst at doing that. Don't be like me. Don't put your palm in it. Like that, and then this one down here. Now I'm gonna need to use something to break that up a bit because I got the stems a little close. That's okay. We are getting somewhere with this. And that's what really matters. And by the time I put the grass in here, we might not even realize it. So we'll see. Speaking of the grass, now I gotta decide what color I want the grass to be. And I think that's gonna be yellow, green, and perfume lily. Those are the two greens I'm gonna go with. So let me get those on my palette. This is what the yellow green looks like. Need a lot more than that. just gonna go for it. This one will have to be a couple layers, it looks like, but that's okay. It's gonna look just fine. Yep, definitely gonna need a couple coats of that. Otherwise, this is going pretty well so far. And then we know that this is going to be part of a blade of grass where our mouse is hanging on to. So we'll go ahead and do that like that. And then let's mix some more of this so we can really get it in there. Mixing, mixing, mixing. My palette paper is sure looking like a rainbow right now. Okay, go over everything again. Really get that color in there. That one blade of grass is not wanting to work with me. Getting there. Something like that. And then we need the other green. And that green was called Perfume Lily. Don't know what a perfume lily is, but it's got a pretty green. So I'm just gonna take a chunk of it. Mix it in with my other green that I just played with and see what we can do with it. It does take me a little bit to mix these because they are dry right now, but the more water I add to it, the better it is. So if you see me not seemingly doing anything, it's because I'm mixing the paint. See what happens when we put a little layer of it like that. Give us a bit of two-tone. It's not much lighter than this other green, but it's just a hair lighter, so I'm just hoping that'll add a little bit to it. I don't know, make it look cool. I think it's working. So I can kind of see where it's like two colors. It looks good. Then there's this blade of grass that's back here. It's kind of tipped out a little bit because that's what our mouse is going to be standing on. Like that. Go. So that kind of brings it all together a little bit. Okay, so now it is time to try adding our mouse. So for our mouse, let's do a dark brown. Do we want to do a dark brown though? Yeah, because then we can do lighter brown on top of it. So I'm gonna grab burnt umber, I think. Grab a fair bit of it and put it on my pad here. just gonna start mapping out the mouse. So I'm gonna be really careful here and just put the shape of the mouse in there. We're gonna be adding fur to this mouse too, so it will look better than just a big blob. Or at least I feel like it will. I've never done a mouse in gouache before, but I'm ready. Here's some ears. And we've got this arm going on. I'm not gonna do the toes yet because the toes I want to be like a pink color. And the tail is gonna be a pink color too. So at the end of the day, this mouse might actually end up being a rat. But I still think it's gonna be cute. Hi, baby.
What are you drawing?
Well, I'm doing a field mice like what's on your magazine. See?
Oh, you're making the same thing?
Something similar. By the way, my camera's rolling if you want to say hi.
Yeah.
Say hi.
Hi. Where's your camera?
Right there.
Oh. Hi guys. What's this?
That's for scraping paint. That's called a palette knife.
This is called a knife, right?
A palette knife.
A palette knife, actually. This is called, what's this called?
It's a pen.
A pen. And the things we're making with is paint. So do you know what? Do you want to know what paint we're using?
Say we're using gouache.
Gouache.
Mm-hmm. That's a stamp I made with an eraser.
This is a stamp Mommy made with an eraser. Can I see what this?
It says love on it.
It's wrong with stamping.
Well, honey, it's because you don't have any ink on it.
No, where's the ink?
Well, honey, we're not doing that right now.
I want to see how it does it.
Not right now.
Oh, it's a double one.
That's right. Watch out, this paint's wet. You can sit in my lap, but you gotta be careful.
Is it?
Because this brown's wet right here.
So, could you please give me a drink?
A drink? Yeah. Here.
Everybody, pause the show.
That's okay. You can have a drink of my drink.
Okay. Everybody pause the show.
Is that tasty? That's iced tea. That's one of Mommy's favorite drinks.
I don't like iced tea.
Oh, okay.
Oh my.
I love you. He's silly.
Daddy, why didn't you give me a drink of my McDonald's order?
Actually, I did order an apple juice for you. For some reason, it didn't come with it. Did you see an apple juice in there?
No. Oh, I saw my toilet.
Weird.
Anyway, where is it? Where is it?
I don't know, Ronan. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna get him a drink. All right, sorry about that. I am back. Turns out he did have water. Okay, I'll give him a little leg here. Maybe another leg over here. Not sure that really makes sense, but that's okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and map out the tail with the brown too. Because I guess this is supposed to be a mouse, not really a rat. So we'll see what it looks like. All right, so that looks pretty cute like that. And then we need some pink to add the toes. Well, pink's gonna be kind of hard to see on there. Maybe we can do nude. Nude might work. Okay. I'm just mixing it up over here off camera. All right. So let's attempt to put these toes in. Like that. There we go, something like that, and then we'll put like a cute little nose right here. We need to put an eyeball. So I probably need a touch of white for that. And then some black. All right. Just spray that white down. Get her all mixed up here. And if this turns out to be silly, like with you not being able to see it, me mixing the paint and stuff, I might cut out some of that. Just a note to myself, I guess. that's not too bad. And we've got ears. Like that. And then we're just gonna let that dry a little bit. But what I will do is start doing the details on the mouse. So I think I'm gonna start with the hands. Give them some little claws. Like that. And there we go, like that. I think that looks pretty good. And then let's use the light color that we used. I'm gonna use maybe some russet red, because it's not actually red, it's more of a tan. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of that and plop it on my palette. And spray it a bit. I think I got a little bit too much water in there. That's okay. Then what we'll do is maybe we'll start with the tail and just kind of give it some lines, just to make it look fuzzier. That. So see, it's starting to make it look fuzzy, and we can even do a second color in there to make it look double fuzzy, because it is going to be kind of coming close to this stalk here, and we don't want it to be the same color. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to use multiple colors in this tail here. Like maybe if I add some white to it, or overall into it, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea, because I could say that the fur is kind of glossy. Or we can even use like a lighter one, like Naples yellow in there too. Maybe make it a little bit tanner. But we'll worry about that in a minute. I am not very good at fur. I used to be good at fur. And I don't know what exactly I did differently, but I used to be able to get a really good furry texture, and now I suck at it. Yeah, you go through phases, you know? This might take a while. Sorry if I go a wee bit silent. I'm not doing fast forwards on this video because I just wanted to show in real time how long it takes to do paintings like this. Because I feel like that's a question that I would ask. Is, hey, how long did that take you? And if I speed it up, then you're not really going to get an accurate answer for that, and I'm not going to remember how long it took. So we'll just kind of let it happen. Ronan's in the other room watching Peppa. He watched Peppa a lot when he was younger, but lately he's been in a Peppa phase again. I think it's because he figured out how to find it on YouTube. So he's very good at YouTube now. Except it definitely messes up my algorithm because I don't have commercials, so everybody uses mine. So then I have to like fish for stuff because I watch a lot of art videos and I also watch a lot of politics, so then all of a sudden it's taken over by baby stuff. But that's okay. I'm just glad he's having fun. My husband should be on the way home soon. He might call, but he has been in Texas all day. So he went to Texas this morning and is coming home on a work trip. So it's been kind of weird today, just because I'm used to him being home. So I'll be excited to see him. I'm sure he's going to be very tired. I would be if I traveled that long. But his job's going well, so it's worth it. There we go. We're starting to get a fuzzy moose. A mouse. When I was a kid, my grandpa was an auctioneer. And it was really funny because there was this one house where I guess the person that passed away just collected mice. Like not real ones, but like the ceramic ones. And so he was like, look at all these mices. Just joking, he knew that the plural mice of a mouse is mice, obviously. But he was joking about it, so every once in a while I call them mices because I think it's funny. I think maybe the Naples yellow will be a good color to introduce into the fur, just because it'll lighten it up but it won't match these stalks. So that should be good. Go. We're starting to get there. And then one thing I can do while it's still wet is I can actually put a bit of a line here. so that you can see where the curve of the leg is. Like that. I think that looks pretty good. Or who knows, by the time I paint the rest of the fur, maybe I'll like it and say maybe we don't need Naples yellow. We'll see. Bit early to tell yet. Oops. That's quite a bit of paint there. Go. Anybody working on any projects lately? What kind of projects do you guys have going on? I don't get many comments on my videos, but when I do, I enjoy them. It's nice talking to everyone. I prefer listening to videos on YouTube with a lot of talking, so I try to do that myself, because I know that there are definitely people out there that do it. Because what I like to do is, see, I work from home and I work on reports all day, and I'll listen to other artists talk or, you know, do their thing while I'm working, and it's like they're keeping me company. Because when you work from home, you have to find different ways to make yourself sane. Because if you let that get to you, you can get quite lonely. Especially living here, where we've only lived for a little under a year. I don't have very many actual friends here. Most of my friends are in Kansas City. So this is just kind of how I keep myself sane, I think. There we go. We're getting there. There we go. We're getting there. There we go. Okay, that is entirely too wet to add a pupil to it yet. But maybe in coloring it in right here, we can get something interesting happening. Like that. Okay, let's try, do I want to add the yellow? I think I do, because I want the mouse to stand out just a little bit more versus these wheat stalks. So I'm gonna grab my palette knife again and grab some Naples yellow from my HIMI Gouache. There we go. And we can wet it. Oh dear. Well, that's not really what I wanted to do. I know it's off camera, but what happened is when I went to get the Naples yellow in there, my brush was dirty and tainted with the brown. So it turned it into a light brown again, which is not what I want. There we go, that's better. So I'm just gonna add a bit of highlight in there. See, now it's kind of brightening up the mouse a bit, which looks cool. Might soak up that eye a bit too. Ooh, that's kind of a cool effect. Go. So I think that will do. So I'm just gonna add that here too. Yeah, that's looking really good. I like that a lot. And I know I keep saying that, but I'm just really pleased with how it's going, I guess. So I feel like this is really highlighting the coat, plus this yellow is really standing out because there's not really any yellow anywhere else in this picture except for on the poppies. So it's giving us a good focal point, I think. I think what I might do is leave the head without highlights and do whiskers instead. I think that'll be rather cute. We'll see if it looks strange or not. Got for over here. Go, and let's give some big whiskers. Here we go, and then we need some whiskers on the other side too. Go, and then let's put some black in that eye, like a pupil. Like that, and then we'll add some more white to it. Like that. I think that pretty much does it for the painting part. So before I sign it and stuff, let's go ahead and see what it looks like without the wrapping on it. Because remember, I have tape around it. So I'm gonna undo my clips. I'm gonna gently lift up on these so that we can see what it looks like. And I rather like using washi tapes for this purpose because they don't really rip your paper, and if they do, it's very insignificant. Of course, I'll say that, and watch, I'll rip it. But look at how refreshing that looks. Go. So that looks really good. I really like how the spread looks. And I'm just gonna sign it down here at the bottom. I always put my initials and then the date, which is 04, I wanna say 09, 26. So yeah, I think that turned out wonderful. And if you stayed all the way, thank you so much for your patience with me while I painted this, and hopefully, you know, you were working on something fun too. I'd love to know what you've been working on. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for returning, and I really appreciate your support. If you're someone new here, hi, welcome. I'd love to get to know you. And I will see you guys next time. If you could like, subscribe, and share this video, I'd really appreciate it. Bye.